hello, future changemakers, and welcome back to Computer Science, your go-to podcast for all you dreamers, doers, and disruptors. So, in Computer Science, we're connecting ambitious and driven girls just like you to relatable role models in the STEM and business fields. Today's guest, we have Michelle Kwok, an MBA grad from Columbia Business School, an investor at Draper.VC, and co-founder at Blue Box, as well as Flick. So whether you're exploring a career in STEM or business, or just looking for inspiration, this episode is going to be packed with wisdom you won't want to miss. So grab your drinks, grab your matcha, and let's get ready to hear all about Michelle's incredible journey, experiences, and insights. Let's dive right in. So, Michelle, could you start by sharing with our viewers a little bit about yourself, your work, and what's your current biggest engagement or project right now?
Yeah, I guess I can just start from the beginning. I did my undergrad in medical sciences at Western University in Canada. I thought I was going to stay in Canada for the rest of my life, honestly, for a while. I loved it there. I was able to do research across infectious diseases, gastroenterology, and neurodegenerative diseases in a neuroimaging lab in both Imperial College London and also at UBC, which is in Canada as well. While I was doing medical sciences, my parents, they wanted me to be a doctor. I think it's very relatable. A lot of parents out there are saying you should be a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer. And I had done medical sciences from a very young age and had done medical research from a young age. So that's where they thought I was going to land. That's where I thought I was going to land as well. I ended up being able to work with Bumble just as they were building out the Canadian office. That was a time when Bumble was interested in getting Bumble Biz out, and so they had also launched Female Founders Fund. So they were interested in getting to know more women in business, more women building businesses, and so I was like, this is so cool. This is the first time that I was meeting female founders. You're able to see amazing women building their dream impact, their dream job, their dream team. I thought, hey, being an entrepreneur sounds amazing. Why don't I go do that? My parents did not love it at all, but it was my dream at the time. I was young. I had no idea what it meant to be a founder. And so I applied for this program called Next 36. It's a Young Founders Accelerator out in Toronto, back in Canada. Owe a lot to that program. It taught me how to be a founder. They flew in incredible professors and people to teach us how to build and how to become founders. Siobhan Zillis even came in. She was Elon Musk's right hand woman at the time, and she came in to teach us how to build and how to be operators and how to build companies. Amazing experience. From there, my roommate and I, Ravina, we built a company called Flick, which was a platform that connected female founders and leaders with students through virtual career experiences. And we built it and launched it the week before COVID. And so that kind of blew up during COVID when a lot of people were losing their opportunities. They came on our platform. Um, well, I remember one of the first days that we launched, we had 1,000 people sign up, and we had only built a platform to host about 300 people. We didn't know that it was going to blow up that way. We ended up building that for 2.5 years. It's one of the pinnacle experiences of my entire life. I don't know if I'll ever learn as much as I did at the pace that I did than when we were building Flick. We were acquired in 2021. And after that, I went on to work at On Deck. I built out their longevity biotech venture arm. We raised a $100 million community fund and started investing in the biotech companies that were part of our programming. I ended up working in special projects, kind of like a chief of staff type of role. Worked at an ed tech company afterwards, a fintech company. The ed tech company, it was started by the chief product officer of Tinder. He had just left to start his own company and pave his way as a startup founder. So I got really, really cool experiences. Ended up wanting to get back into biotech. That was the last time that I felt fulfilled, the last time I felt a lot of purpose. And so when I went to Columbia for business school, my one goal was to get back into biotech and specifically biotech VC. I had one name on the top of that list, and that was SOSV. I ended up connecting with the chief scientist, chief scientific officer, who's a partner there, Sabria Stukes, Dr. Sabria Stukes. She's amazing, very cool. After 45 minutes of talking with her, as we were walking back to the office, she said, "Hey, I don't usually do this, but do you want to work here?" And that was that. I got my first role in biotech VC. I happened to sit next to one of the Draper investors, Max Bukai, at one of the demo day events at SOSV. He asked me a bunch of questions. He was like, "I'm really interested in biotech. We're maybe interested in building out a biotech practice at Draper. What do you think about biotech, et cetera, et cetera?" He offered me an MBA internship there on the spot, and I thought he was joking, but then he ended up following up 3 months later on LinkedIn saying, "Hey, seriously, are you going to come and MBA intern with us?" So luckily, the MBA internship ended up turning into a full-time job on the investment team, and now I lead all of our healthcare and biotech investments here at Draper.
I love that. So I want to talk about the switch that you made. You started off, you have an undergrad in medical sciences, and then you decided that, hey, I want to get an MBA. You did a bunch of these entrepreneurial ventures, which I'm so looking forward to asking you more about. And then you went back and you're like, I actually want to combine business and do biotech. So when were these switches? Like, when did you figure out and take that moment to take a step back and realize what you wanted to do? How did you end up pivoting careers? Tell me more about the thought process behind this.
Yeah, I think when I realized that I didn't want to be a doctor, I at that point had planned out my life. Every year of my life up until then, I'd planned my life 10 years in advance. And I was a big planner, and I always thought I'm going to stick to that plan. The second that I decided I wasn't going to med school, the entire plan blew up, and I realized I was starting from square one. And I realized also that plans never go to plan. So I just stopped planning. I decided to do kind of the Marie Kondo way of life, and I did my life like, what brings me joy now? And if it brings me joy, it will continue to be in my life, and it will continue to be my career until which time it does not bring me joy. And that's where I started finding purpose. And I think I didn't know it, but I was just searching for my purpose. I was searching for something to hold on to, that I was like, I can feel that I am doing good in this world. I can feel that I'm doing something positive in this world. And I truly believe that this is one of the purposes that I will serve. And I might serve several purposes over my lifetime. So it was really that Marie Kondo way of thinking that ended up or helping me organically pivot. I never thought years in advance that I was going to. I was a founder, and it brought me incredible purpose every day to meet with female founders, help them get the support they needed on their businesses, meet with female students, and help them break into startups and venture, and help them break into female founded startups and connect with them. I found incredible purpose in that. And then we were acquired, and then it's not that I lost purpose, but I think I wasn't sure what my identity was anymore because it was so attached to being a founder at Flick. Um, and so then I started searching for more purpose, and I knew I made a list of things that I needed to get better at as a founder. And that's why I went and operated at all of those companies, because I worked as the chief product officer of Tinder, because I knew that I had to get better at product, at road mapping, at being a product manager. I worked at On Deck because I knew I wanted to get better at building my own automations, and building in no code, and how to grow and scale a company, because we started when I started at like maybe 30 or 40 employees, and then when I left it was 300 employees. So I think I was just searching for purpose in every role until I really narrowed it down, and I realized that everything was coming full circle in terms of my background in medical sciences. I always found purpose in learning about medical sciences, and I knew there's a way to help humans with health, but I just didn't think that being a doctor was how that was going to manifest for me. And so I think along the way, I discovered a lot about the startup ecosystem, the entrepreneurship ecosystem, what's possible, how you're able to scale your impact. And all of those pieces kind of came together as I was Marie Kondoing my way through life. That when I decided to go to business school, I realized that I could mix all of the best parts of my career so far. I could be a VC, a VC who is able to help and be on the founder side of the table because she's been there before, be on the operator side of the table because she's been there before, but also be an investor and scale your impact with the dollars that you're able to put down and help entrepreneurs actually scale what they're building. So I think it just all came together when I let go of over planning and I decided to just Marie Kondo my way through life, if that makes sense.
That's incredible. I'm a big planner as well. I love lists, to-dos. I plan daily, weekly, quarterly, but just knowing that your plan does not have to be the end all be all is so important. And I love the Marie Kondo philosophy as well. Just asking if each thing brings you joy, does each thing that you're doing, is it really getting you towards where you want to be? And is it giving you pleasure when you're doing it is really crucial. So I love that you did that. Tell me more about some of the early career experiences and roles that you've had. So, with the medical field, if you've had any medical roles, and then some of your early business experiences. I'd love to know what got you, what types of roles, what type of positions got you to where you are today. You talked a lot about that a little bit already, so I'd love to know a little bit more in depth about some of the roles.
Yeah, I think in the early days, that was everything for me. That's what changed everything. The research roles, they gave me an understanding of what it takes to work in a wet lab and what it takes to drive medicine forward. They were pretty tough because when you're in research, you're doing the exact same thing every single day for 8 hours every day for months. It was definitely a learning experience for me, but it taught me a lot in terms of medicine and medical science, and a lot of the knowledge that I'm able to utilize today in my role, leading healthcare and biotech investments. I got from those early days of being in lab and talking to PhDs and PIs every single day and learning from their research and learning from what they've spent decades of their life learning about. I think those were great, but the business aspect is probably what really, really changed my career. I remember I was a summer camp counselor, one of the first summers of university, and I used all of that money to buy a camera and a drone. And I taught myself how to make videos because I was thinking if I want to break into business or if I want to connect with any business owners, what value could I bring as a young university student? And the value that I thought I could bring was social content. Was I knew what people were interested in terms of social content. Not a lot of people were like video editors at the time, and I had a vision of how I could use a camera and a drone and create really unique content. Especially not a lot of people droned at the time. So I would create free videos for businesses and then email them and be like, I could be a student ambassador for you. I could help build out your student ambassador network, and we could build out social content like this and expand your brand. And I really, really believed in helping people expand their brand, especially for young people. And I think I pitched that to like 40 businesses. One of them was a small alcohol company in BC, in British Columbia, called Hey Y'all Iced Tea. And it's like a twisted tea equivalent, but in Canada. And I said, I'll build your student ambassador network. I have friends across all the top Canadian universities. They can help build out your social content. They can be your ambassadors. They can bring your product into every major bar party, and I can help lead this and run this. And I sent them a video, a free video that I had made with my camera and my drone, and they were just like, yeah, let's do it. So I was able to help them expand from BC all the way across the country to Ontario to all the top universities across Ontario. And I learned a lot in the process. They gave me a lot of freedom and autonomy to build out events and build out what ambassador leads meant. And because of that, I got my opportunity to help out the Bumble Canada marketing team, and I got referred to them. And they're like, Michelle's your person who's going to be able to help you build out your student ambassador program, especially at Western University. And she's going to be able to help you build out social content and build out events. And it was so cool. Like, Bumble's a huge brand. You were able to pitch any event that you wanted. It was very entrepreneurial. And if you were hitting their target market, they would give you like up to $5,000 to host events. And I got to do that. And essentially, it's an unlimited budget for when you're a university student, and you're looking at $5,000. Like, wow, I can do anything with this. So I think the early companies gave me a lot of leeway, a lot of freedom, a lot of autonomy, and it taught me how to build something real from the ground up. And it gave me a lot of autonomy to experiment and to learn what it means to build a brand, to learn what it means to build a team, to learn what it means, what real impact is. Because after you build all these events, after you build all these initiatives, you have to go back and be like, this is what that did for your business quantitatively and qualitatively. So I think all of that was my very early entrepreneurial experiences that gave me the confidence to start a company like Flick after. And obviously, building something like Flick has helped me build Blue Box today, where we're connecting MBAs, top MBAs with founders and VCs from across the world for in semester and summer internships. So I think a lot of pieces of my life have come full circle because of those very early days.
Amazing. And I want to know more about Flick and Blue Box. So let's start with Flick. Can you talk to us about co-finding this? And I know Flick is now acquired by Rumor Avenue. So for our viewers, Flick has been featured in Forbes, The Hustle, CBC, Beta Kit, and Women of Influence. So Michelle, tell us what Flick is, how you got it started, as well as how did you end up taking it to the heights that you did?
Yeah, I think it was very organic at the time, really. We were just looking for other female founders to connect with. We just wanted to learn from other female founders, and there weren't that many out there at the time that were available to us. We were in a founders accelerator called Next 36, and the majority of people who not only were in the accelerator but were mentors for the accelerator were men. And we learned a lot from them, but we were looking for people who looked like us, who had come across the same barriers as us, and could teach us how to break through those barriers. So it really started with us saying, how can we meet really cool female founders? And we reached out to a bunch of them, and we realized the easiest way is to do something like this, where you are interviewing them, because people love content and people love shareable content. And so that was the value that we were bringing to them. We were like, we'll create shareable content for you. We'll give you a platform to speak on. We just want to meet you. We want to learn from you. And so Flick started off as a female founders interviewer series, where we just went to founders' homes, offices, wherever we could meet them in person, and film an interview series with them. And it started to just gain traction on its own as a newsletter, where we were posting the videos and we were posting the interview content. And girls were saying, how did you meet these people? How can I meet these people? How can I work with them? How can I get mentored by them? From there, we were like, we have both sides. We have these founders who are always looking for help on their businesses. We have these female students, these young people who are always looking for mentorship, always looking to connect with female founders and learn from them. Why don't we just start a platform? So it was so organic. We just kind of tested it. We were like, okay, we have a platform. Everyone on our newsletter, if you're a founder, sign up as a founder. If you were a student, sign up as a student. We would love for you to get to know each other. And this was before COVID. And people were asking, hey, can we have in-person internships or like in-person connections? And we were like, we want to be able to connect people from all over the world. So we want to try this new thing, this virtual thing, which wasn't really that hot at the time. And then when COVID hit, literally a week or two later, I think we had 1,000 signups, like I said, in one day. And it was just crazy. It was like we found this virtual thing before virtual was really a thing. In person was the thing before that. And we just kind of got lucky with the timing. It was a whirlwind. We were so young. We didn't know what we were doing. We just knew that we were offering value to people. I still get messages to this day saying, I would have never gone into entrepreneurship without Flick. I got my first opportunity in startups with Flick, and now I'm at this job. Now I'm starting this company. Now I've raised money. I think I got my last Flick message last week. Like it's insane the ripple effect we've been able to have, and I'm so proud of what we were able to do. And I can't believe I was able to do it at that age before I had any traditional business experience. I hadn't gone to school for business. I was really learning everything on the fly. Lots of learnings from that period that we're now taking to Blue Box. Obviously, it's a very similar concept, but we're connecting top MBAs with founders and VCs. Just because when I was in my MBA, I saw how many people were investment bankers, previous consultants, previous private equity, very, very talented people, lots of hard skills, good network, didn't know how to break into startups and VC. It's a very difficult space to break into if you aren't already in it, just because it is a relationship based business. If you're a VC, you got to know all the startups in the field. You got to know all the VCs who are also investing alongside you in the field. So I think there were a lot of learnings that we learned at Flick, everything from like accounting to who to hire for legal, what is important, what automations are important, how to build a company, how to build a product. A lot of things that I stumbled on at that time and was always looking to fix day after day. I think a lot of that has made this process of starting Blue Box a lot easier. Obviously, my day job as I'm an investor, but my work at Blue Box really does bleed well and integrate well with my work at Draper, because at Blue Box, we're building a community of founders, VCs, and the next upcoming founders and VCs, and the top tier of those types of people. And at Draper, we're trying to work with those types of people every single day. So it's been great being able to integrate all parts of my life as this full circle is coming back together.
That is wonderful. Love the whole concept of Flick as well as Blue Box. That is amazing. Now, with these things, you have to do a lot of communication. You have to be good at talking to people. So, when it comes to any business field, any business space, what do you think are the biggest skills that are relevant in this? And we like to be unconventional in computer science, so don't say communication, but tell us some other tips that you use at Blue Box with your work here.
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Yes, of course. So, with your work at Blue Box as well as Flick, you said you had so many people start using it after when COVID hit. So, what are some of the biggest skills that you've learned throughout this? What are some good quality traits for somebody who wants to go into business that they should have?
I think the one thing that I tell everybody now is everything is about human to human connection. It's about creating deep connections with people, because AI is definitely going to take over a lot of our jobs. But the value that we bring is that we are human at the end of the day. We know each other, we can vouch for each other, and we can talk to each other and have human experiences together. So I think the number one thing to really work on, especially when you're in undergrad, is building your network. I think everyone talks about that, but beyond building your network, it's trying to figure out, who am I? When someone looks at me or someone looks at my resume, what do they think my zone of genius is? Why would they hire me over 1,000 other resumes they're getting that day? A lot of the time now, I think it comes down to brand, or however you've decided to brand yourself. I was having a conversation with one of our interns today, and he has worked in kind of like a hodgepodge of things similar to me, which I think is great, in sports, in music. Now is doing an internship with us as an undergrad in VC. And it's great to have all of these different types of experiences, but as you're thinking about graduation and as you're thinking about a future job and getting hired, what is the hirer going to look at you and say, I know that you're going to be amazing at this because you know all of these people, because you know how to speak to all of these people, because you've built this brand around yourself, whether it's a Substack, you post on LinkedIn a lot, you post on X a lot, or you have a podcast like this. What what is a difference maker that sets you aside from everybody else who has graduated from like the Harvard, Yale, Columbia, Whartons of the world, and has a lot of hard skills? I think hard skills are great, and you should always try to lever up those skills for yourself. But it's really about the brand, who people think you are as a person, who you know and who you've come to know over time. And the best way to build your network right now is to build a brand, whether that's, like I said, posting on TikTok about something very specific, like the intersection of AI and sustainability, or posting on X as a young VC in the space. Um, there's a lot of niches that you can take up and will be very valuable to companies over time. It's who are you as a human brand and who is your human network that we can have human to human connections with, is what I would focus on.
That is wonderful. Thanks for sharing that. Really true though. With AI taking over a lot of jobs, we really can't predict the future, but there's so many trends if you read the news everywhere. But this human connection, I feel like is something irreplaceable. So the brand that you build, it truly sticks with you, it truly stays. I absolutely love that. Michelle, you work full time at Draper. You work with a bunch of founders, VCs at Blue Box. Tell us, with all of this knowledge of investing that you've acquired, how do you go about investing for yourself? So, for somebody who's looking to get into investing personally, what advice would you give them?
I think it's very similar to the advice that I just gave. It's all about human to human connection. It's as many people, as many founders as you can connect with. What you should do is build a personal thesis. I think if you are going to be an angel investor, if you're going to start getting into investing yourself, you need to understand again, what is your zone of genius? Why do you uniquely understand this area or this company or these types of companies more than the other person, instead of kind of like a spray and pray method? I think it's more difficult to be a generalist angel investor because generalist funds work because they have enough capital to invest in, let's say, like 70, 80 companies in one fund at a time, and then one or two hit and they return, or return plus the entire fund. Whereas as an angel investor, you're probably only putting like 5 bets out at a time. And so almost all of those have to hit, or at least one of those has to hit, but like that's a you have to have a much higher percentage hit rate than a generalist fund does. So I would say do a lot of reading. You have to find your niche. It's very associated with what I just said about building your brand. When people look at you, what are you amazing at? What are you amazing at spotting? What is your network amazing at? How do you know all those people? Are you able to tap experts whenever and in what field? So really niche down and find where your niches are. Like one of the things that I post about a lot is longevity biotech. It's regenerative therapies, cellular rejuvenation, and how to generally extend healthy human lifespan. So find your niche, whatever that may be. Doesn't have to be what I invest in, obviously, but figure out what your brand is as a person.
Definitely. Now, with such a busy life that you lead, how do you balance your time between your work, your personal time, your social time? Tell us about some time management tips here.
I think it's super simple. I think people overcomplicate this bit. It's time blocking. I'm very routine based. So I have a time block for my run every morning, and so I wake up, I do my emails. I probably wake up at like 5:30 or 6. I do my emails. I run from around 7 to 8 or 7:30 to 8:30, and I do emails again, and then I go to office and I do everything that's on my calendar for Draper. And at the end of the day, it's either I'm working on something for Blue Box or I have something social. I think for me, it's if there is a time block that is personal, if there's a time block that's social, if there's a time block that's business, all of those are equally important to me. Whatever my calendar says I should be doing is what I'm going to be doing at that time and what I'm going to be prioritizing at that time. And I have visibility into my whole week starting on Sunday. So there's no excuse for me not to be there, whether it's something personal like running or something social like a dinner with my friends or something business. It's all on the same plane of importance for me. And my week should pretty much be set up from Sunday onwards and then again from the next Sunday onwards. So a lot of that is time blocking. I have a to-do list that I'll assign myself. If I'll always assign myself things ahead of time. If it's going to be due, if it's going to be due at a certain time, I make sure that it's on my to-do list 2 weeks before that, so that I know that I'm going to do it all ahead of time or in time. And so I live my life via my calendar, my to-do list, and I take those very strictly. And that's that. I think just keep it simple. No, there doesn't need to be too much overcomplication with productivity.
I like that. Keep it simple. What do you think of phones with this, with social media? I know social media can be a great source of connection. You get on there to maybe send a DM, do something for work, and then you can get into the rabbit hole of scrolling. Have you found that happening? What do you tell yourself when you have a work block scheduled or a thing blocked out on your Google Calendar, Apple Calendar, and you just don't feel like doing it at that time? What do you say to motivate yourself and have yourself, hey, like I got this? How do you go through that?
I am lucky enough to be in a place where I've found a lot of purpose in all of the work that I do. And I know that every single to do item pushes forward a mission that I really believe in. So I actually don't struggle with that much. Maybe if it's like a training that's required for work, I will push it off a little bit, but I'll always end up doing it on time. I think I maybe had more of that issue when I was in undergrad and it was a class that was required that I wasn't really obsessed with. But I think the magic of being an adult is you have the power over your own life of what you do for work, who you hang out with, what you do on the side of work, any side project that you have. It's all within your own power. And if you really love what you do and you find purpose in everything that you're doing, even if it's a menial task, it feels meaningful.
That's amazing. I think this comes back to the point where just finding passion on what about what you're doing is so crucial because at least for me, whenever I have a work block scheduled for say a super hard class like physics, I don't really want to do it, but if it's gonna be something scheduled with stuff that I'm really passionate about, like this podcast, different things that I truly want to do, then it just comes more easily. You want to do it. So that comes back to the fact that plan your day, do the things that bring you joy, make sure to Mary Kondo your life. That's really important. So tell me about your time at Columbia Business School. What do you think is one opportunity that you leveraged there that you think helped you get to where you are today?
I loved my time at Columbia Business School. I think it was the two best years of my life. It was very exhausting. We were doing a lot at the same time, but I think it really offers you freedom. I think doing your MBA offers you the opportunity to do internships that you otherwise wouldn't be able to do as an adult. I think that was something that changed my life is if you're ever thinking about pivoting, there's a beautiful thing called in-semester internships that you can do when you're 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. You could be 32 and you could be doing an in-semester internship. And without doing an MBA and without the construct of being at an MBA school, you wouldn't be able to do that. So doing in-semester internships, doing summer internships, being able to try out different roles is a type of freedom that you don't really get as an adult, and you aren't able to pivot otherwise a lot of the time. So I think that was the beauty of the MBA, which was another reason why we started Blue Box, was we know a lot of people are going into their MBAs to pivot, and an MBA isn't a magic wand that's going to help you pivot because you're in it. It gives you the freedom and the autonomy to meet a lot of new people, learn about a lot of different verticals, and take a few internships and learn along the way in the job itself. With all the hard skills that you've learned from your previous jobs, you can pivot into VC, you can pivot into startups, you can pivot into consulting, into banking, into engineering. There's so many different avenues you can go down, but the freedom, the time that you're allotted to kind of do whatever you want. You could chill and do nothing, or you could go and pivot into a completely different industry. I think doing that in your MBA is incredible. And on top of that, of course, being at a school like Columbia, which has a fantastic alumni network, was game changing.
Amazing. This does bring us to the last question of the podcast. So, for someone interested to go into venture capital, go into this space, how would you describe your day to day to them? And then, what final piece of advice would you give somebody who wanted to go into this career, particularly a woman who wanted to go into this? and just thrive in the business field, what advice would you give them based off your day to day?
Yeah, I think my day to day is, I can't explain to you what my day to day is because you're always doing something different in venture capital. It's a very free and autonomous role, which we're very, very lucky to have. You're sourcing, you're diligencing, you're connecting with founders, you're connecting with other VCs to see what other deals you could do with them. You could be doing any number of things that will advance what you're trying to do in your role every single day, and it's really up to you to decide, what am I going to do today, what am I going to do tomorrow. That's what makes this role so beautiful. I think a lot of people want to break into VC because there's so much freedom, autonomy, and you're able to scale impact a lot really from the early days. Like, imagine we were one of the first investors in Tesla and SpaceX and Coinbase and Robinhood. Imagine being at those tables in the very early days and deciding, yeah, I'm going to invest in this person. Um, it's just incredible that you're able to do all this. And my biggest advice to getting into this is network. I think that's one thing that I talk about a lot, is building your brand and building a network that believes in that brand. I think one of the great things that we did and kind of we stumbled upon was building Flick in the first place. Is when we were first building our network, it was a network of women who were in very similar positions to us. They really resonated with us and they wanted to help us along the way. So as you're building your network, find people that you really resonate with, whether it's a woman who went to your school, who also plays basketball, who also plays tennis. Like, try to find really human reasons to connect with someone outside of their career, outside of who they are, what they can offer you, and think about, who are they as a person? Why do they love doing those things? And why do I love doing those things too? Maybe you can just bond over playing tennis with somebody. So I think women are always looking to help younger women, mentor them, and bring them up in their careers. I think as a younger woman, you should try to do your research, find those people, and find ways that you are connected as humans before anything professional. Like, never ask for a job up front, never ask for an internship up front. Try to get to know them as a person, see what really connects you as people. Would you be friends outside of work? That type of thing. And that's how you really find your champions.
I love that. Thank you so much for this incredible advice. Michelle, it was so lovely chatting with you today, and thank you for being so open and authentic with us. It was such a privilege to have you on Computer Science. To all our listeners, thank you guys for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe, share this episode with your friends, and leave us a review. It helps us connect more ambitious girls to amazing STEM role models. Until next time, keep reaching for the stars and chasing those dreams. See you soon on Computer Science.